back to my channel. So first and foremost, happy new year. I hope all of you are having or have had an amazing first few weeks into the year of 2020, a very successful year for everyone. Quote me on this. So anyway, it was brought to my attention by a few people that reached out to me on Instagram, and they told me that on my coming back to YouTube video, I had mentioned how I was gonna share my NICU experience and talk about my preemie baby and you know, just share things about my baby being a preemie. And I never did, and honestly it's because I was avoiding it, and I was kind of avoiding recording this video, and it's because it's a very touchy subject to me. And I just didn't want to record it and then be a ball of tears and just cry throughout the whole video. But I think I'm ready to share my story. It's honestly, it was very scary. It was a very scary experience. And the reason why I want to share this type of things with you guys is because I was in the NICU for 9 months. And I remember always searching things up, looking on YouTube, on Google, on Instagram, every social media. I tried to search things up, you know, and people would share little things here and there, but I never really found anything that would give me hope, because the situation we were in was very critical, and I just wanted the itty bittiest tad bit of hope that someone could give me, you know. Bitch, if I get emotional. But anyway, yeah, that's what my purpose was, you know, to tell moms out there who are in the same situation I was in, that there is hope, that babies, even though they're this little, they're so freaking strong. It's amazing. It's amazing. It truly is amazing how everything works out at the end. But yeah, okay, hold on. I think I'm gonna get emotional. Okay, so Max was born August 4th of 2018, and that was on a Saturday. So we have to rewind to Thursday. So Thursday during the day, I don't remember, I was feeling when you're about to get your period, so very mild cramping and just a little bit of discomfort, something I had not felt my first months, you know. So that kind of was alarming to me. So I called my doctor and I told her about it, and she's like, you know what, anyway, I can't take you in today. She said, but you can come and speak to the nurse and she can probably check you out or whatever. So I went in, I talked to the nurse, and she was like, you know, I think you're fine, because she asked me if I was bleeding or if I was in pain or if I had discharge, and they were all a no. I was not in pain. It was just mild, barely there cramping. So she said, you know, I think you're just freaking out. It is your first pregnancy and that's normal. So you might just be stretching, you know? So I was like, okay. It didn't worry me, honestly. So I just continued with my day. And then I took that day off. So I took Thursday off. And then Friday, I was feeling a lot better. I was feeling a lot better, so I decided to go to work. Keep in mind my job, like I'm sitting all day. And at the time I was giving myself like 30-minute breaks in between clients just so I could like stand up, walk around, stretch or whatever. So anyway, I worked all day and yeah, so it was fine. So around, I want to say like 5, I started feeling more discomfort, but I wasn't bleeding and I wasn't like in a lot of pain. It was just like discomfort. So anyway, around bedtime, I was like feeling the same, but like I didn't pay attention to it because I thought, you know, what the nurse had told me, I'm probably just stretching and like freaking out, so whatever. And I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning, but I thought I was 25 weeks, but I ended up being 23 weeks. So I'm 23 weeks and I'm feeling this, right? So right before bed, I had a bowl of cereal, and then after that I went to the bathroom to like brush my teeth or whatever. So anyway, I brushed my teeth and then I actually had to pee. So then I used the toilet, and as I'm sitting down, I feel a lot of pressure like on my cervix, like a lot of pressure. So my first instinct, the first thing that I thought of doing was to like touch myself. So I like touched like down there, you know, and I like felt something like a hard bubble coming out. Like I feel like if I were to push at that time, I would have pushed whatever that was. So I remember I was like, oh my god, what the fuck? So like I remember I got so scared, like I felt like hot, like my whole body. I was like, what the heck? Like I got so scared. So I remember like I obviously wiped or whatever, and then I stood up and I just like squeezed my legs. Like I just squeezed my legs and I wanted whatever that was coming out to squeeze back in. And I was like, oh my god, I need to go to the ER like right now. So I told Carlos, I'm like, you need to take me to the ER right now. So my mom decided to come with us. So I get to the ER and I tell like the receptionist or whatever what's going on, the charge nurse, like what's going on. And she's like, okay, just go ahead and wait a minute. She's like, you're gonna have to wait a little bit because they're busy or whatever. And I'm like, seriously, I cannot wait. Like I'm 25 weeks pregnant. This is what I just experienced. Like I need to be checked right now. So I waited about like a minute or two, and then a nurse came in and she brought me back, and I explained to her exactly what had happened. I went to the doctor on Thursday and blah blah blah. So she's like, oh okay, she's like, you probably just have a UTI. And I was like, a UTI? No, like I felt something coming out. Like I do not have a UTI. So I remember I felt a lot of pressure on my bladder. Like I felt like I needed to pee really, really bad. And I kept asking her, I'm like, I need to use the restroom. And she's like, no, you can't. Like, give me a second. Like, no. So I remember being so annoyed because she wouldn't let me go to the restroom, and she wouldn't call the doctor. She's like, you know, the doctor is on call and I'm not gonna call her unless it's like something serious and I think you have a UTI. So she's like, I'm just gonna have you here on observation for a while. She's like, and if everything seems fine, then you can go home. So I was like, okay. And so I laid there for about an hour and a half. And oh, sorry. So before she told me that I had a UTI or whatever, she actually checked me. She checked me and she's like, you know, like nothing is coming out and blah blah blah. So that's why she said that she thought I had a UTI. So she had me waiting there for like about an hour and a half. And so I went from like feeling like super mild, barely there period cramps to like having mild contractions, but they were painful, you know. And that's when I started getting super scared. And I'm like, you know what? You need to call the doctor right now. Like, this is not a UTI. Like, I am in pain and I'm so scared, you know? So she's like, yeah, she's like, I'm just gonna go ahead and call the doctor. So anyway, the doctor got there like right away. And so I felt so much relief when the doctor got there. I'm like, thank God, you know, like finally I am gonna get helped. So then the doctor gets there and dude, she literally opened me up with a speck. If you guys are familiar with those thingy-majiggies, those are the things that you get your pap smear with. And she like shoved that thing in there and she like opened me up and I felt so much pain. Like I seriously saw like little stars. Like if you have gotten a pap smear before, you know what I'm talking about. And I was like, oh my God. So she's like, oh my God, she's like, you're 6 centimeters dilated. You're gonna have your baby right now. So I went from like being in pain to her shoving that thing in there to her telling me that I was gonna have my baby. I was like, what? Like I was in just shock. Like I didn't even know how to act because what the fuck, you know, like. So she's like, no, she's like, we're gonna have to rush you. You're gonna have an emergency C-section and you're gonna have your baby right now. And then she leaves. And then later on, like 3 nurses come in and they put like the little band, like the monitor for the baby. And I get an IV, I think I get an IV. So anyway, I got super scared and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, I'm really gonna have my baby right now and I'm only 25 weeks pregnant, which I thought I was 25. So then thankfully, the nurse comes in and she's like, you know, we're gonna fly you out to a bigger hospital in Denver. She's like, we're gonna have to fly you and that's one of the best hospitals and you're gonna be in amazing hands, you know? So I'm like, oh God, thank God that I'm not gonna have my baby here. So I remember just waiting there and oh my God, you guys, in that, from like all of this happened within like 10 minutes. But from the moment she opened me up with the spec to like when she told me that I was gonna get flown over there, like my contractions went from like 1 to like 7. And I was in so much pain. I was so scared. So I was like in shock and like so scared. And I didn't know what was going on. I remember like the paramedics getting there. And honestly, they were so knowledgeable. And they like kept asking the nurses all these questions, the nurses and the doctor. They kept asking them all these questions and they were like just there standing, pretending they were doing stuff, you know? And they were just looking at each other and they didn't know how to respond to the paramedics. And I remember like super vividly, one of the paramedics saying, why haven't you tried to stop her contractions? Like, why haven't you given her blah, blah, blah medication to stop her contractions? And like, they were just like looking at each other and like not knowing what to respond to the paramedics. And that's when I was like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. Like, why did I come to this ER? But anyway, like I felt like so much relief when I was in the paramedics' hands other than the actual nurses, because Like they just were so knowledgeable and they knew exactly what they were talking about. So like I just felt safe, you know. So they flew me from where I live to Denver, and that took about 25 minutes. And I remember like being so scared, and I cried the whole way to Denver. Like I just cried and I just prayed, and I don't know, like that's all I did. I just cried and I prayed so hard to God. I was like, oh my God, like whatever is gonna happen is gonna happen, and I would just like leave everything in your hands, but please save my baby. Like just save my baby. So I remember, you know, getting there, and I was at this point super freaking scared. Like I was so scared. And I get there, and I am not kidding, I had like 30 doctors waiting for me. I had like 30 doctors, and everybody at once was trying to explain to me like what was going on. And at this point I have like hideous contractions. Like my contractions are like full force in. So I remember one of the doctors telling me, you know, you're gonna have your baby, you're 23 weeks in. So for those of you, let me do the math. It was 4 months and 3 weeks. So it was almost 5 months. And they were telling me that basically my baby was not going to survive. But if he was to survive and like make it, that, you know, there was like possibilities of him having tons and tons of disabilities. That like they were just like telling me all these things, you know, where honestly like I couldn't even process what they were telling me because I was in so much pain and I was so scared. And I flew by myself. Like it was just the person who was flying the helicopter, me and another paramedic. And so like I didn't have my parents there with me. So like I was so scared, and like she was telling me this, and like I just like didn't know. I didn't know, like it was too much for me to process at once. So yeah, but I do remember her saying that. She told me, she's like, you know, like your baby's not gonna make it probably, so like you tell us what you want to do. And so I feel like my parent, like as soon as they stopped talking to me, my parents got there. My mom, my dad, Carlos, my sister. And so like everything was a lot better. My mom talked to the doctors. Carlos did also, and he was the one who like made most of the decisions. And so I remember also I got there, and like they were doing ultrasounds. They had the monitor on me, and they told me like, I remember super vividly, the specialist was like, why haven't they tried to stop your contractions? Like this could have been stopped 2 hours ago. So like at that time I was so mad because I'm like, this could have been preventable, you know, like what the heck. So but anyway, I was like too deep in there already. So then they tried to stop my contractions, and obviously it was too late. So then I remember another specialist told me like, do you want to go ahead and have an emergency C-section, or do you want to have him vaginal? And so basically he explained to me that having an emergency C-section was going to cause a lot of trauma to him because he was so little, and his skin obviously wasn't like fully developed yet, that was going to cause a lot of trauma, like holding him and whatever, you know. So he's like, or do you just want to wait and have him vaginal? He's like, but you know, like if we wait, like we might not know if he's gonna come out alive, or we just don't know. So I remember like I was just like laying there, and I looked at him and I was like, what would you do? I'm like, tell me what you think is best for me, and we'll go with that. And came towards me and he was like, look, honey, it's like, if you were my daughter, I would just have you have him natural and just wait for a miracle. So I was like, okay, let's do that, you know? So he decided to give me an epidural because my contractions were stressing out his heart a lot. So he's like, you know, I'm gonna give you an epidural and I'm gonna disconnect all the monitors. And we're, like I said, he's like, we're just gonna wait for a miracle. Like, we don't know if the baby's gonna come out alive. We don't know if he's gonna be passed away. We're just gonna wait, but we're not gonna stress him out. So I said, okay. And at this point, so I don't remember if I told you guys, but I actually ended up going to the ER around 10. So it was around like 1 or 2 when they gave me the epidural. So then they gave me the epidural and like everything, like all the pain went away, you know, but I was still super, super scared. And so I don't know exactly what happened because the epidural I had a really bad reaction to the epidural. My blood pressure actually dropped so much that, so I just kind of like went to sleep from like 2 in the morning to like 2 in the afternoon. And I remember I woke up and like I was so drowsy, like I could not see anything. And I kept telling the nurses, like, I can't see, I'm so dizzy, I was so nauseous. And my mom and my sister were there, Carlos was there. Everybody just looked so tired, everybody looked so scared. It was just so ugly. It was an ugly, ugly, ugly situation. It was so ugly. And so anyway, fast forward to when I actually had Maxie, which was, so this is that I went to the ER Friday, so Saturday afternoon, 4:37 to be exact, was when I had Max. A little prior to that, one of the nurses came in and she was checking up on me, and like I wasn't super dizzy or anything anymore. And she was like, okay, she's like, well, you're fully dilated. It looks like you're ready to have your baby. You're fully dilated. So then she told me, she's like, you know, he's so tiny that he might come out on his own. She's like, don't get scared. She's like, all the doctors are out here waiting for you. She's like, so you're gonna feel pressure. She's like, but don't be scared. She's like, as soon as you feel pressure, just call us over and everybody's gonna rush in here. So I was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna feel pressure, like I'm so scared. So I remember just feeling like a cramp, like a cramp. And I was like, oh my God, my sister was there. So I was like, oh my God, sister, I think like I had a cramp. So she rushes to the doctors and she rushes to Carlos because Carlos was not in the room yet. So he was outside in the waiting area taking a nap. So as soon as my sister went out and she told him, 15 to 20 doctors came in my room. And then after that, her and Carlos dashed in here. So then, like everything happened so fast. So like, I didn't even push nothing. He came out by himself. So I had all these people in the room. There was like an RT, there was a specialist, there was too many people. She Like Max came out and it was so weird. So Max was literally like this. I remember her holding on to Maxie like this. He was 1 pound 4 ounces. So he was super, super tiny. He didn't cry. Obviously, like his lungs were not developed yet. So it was so weird. Like everybody was like quiet. It was like dead silent in there. And I had him, and I remember just looking over at my mom, and I was like so scared, like, and he was moving, he was like kicking or whatever. So immediately, I'm so sorry, I'm like skipping parts, but I'm like remembering as I'm telling the story. So before everything, she had asked me, do you want to hold your baby? And I said, yes, you know, absolutely. If I can hold my baby, I would love to hold him. And she's like, okay, well, perfect. So anyway, back to where I was at. I had him or whatever, and he was kicking and moving. And one of the doctors grabbed Carlos by the shoulders, because Carlos was like right by my side. And the doctor grabbed Carlos, and she was like, take pictures of your baby. Take pictures of Max, because this might be the last time you see him. Take pictures of him. So she said that, and I immediately started, oh wait, hold on. So she said that, and I immediately started crying. I'm like, that is so ugly to say. So, he like was taking pictures, and so they didn't let me hold Max. They were like, we're gonna rush him into the NICU to get intubated, and you can come see him after. So that's what happened. I had my baby boy at 23 weeks pregnant, and he weighed 1 pound 4 ounces, and I was not able to hold Maxie right after he was born. He was rushed into the NICU to get intubated and stuff, and I wasn't able to see Max until like the epidural had worn off, so I could like walk to him and stuff. But it was very, very traumatic. Like it was, sorry guys, so my mom just got to my house. But yeah, like I was saying, it was like a very traumatic experience, and like it was a beautiful experience, but it was also very scary and ugly. Like I don't wish this upon anyone. But so Max thankfully succeeded. He's a very, very healthy baby. If you guys are interested in like me telling you like my whole NICU experience, I'm probably gonna have to do like parts of it, because we were in the NICU for 9 months. So it was a very, very, very rocky road. He had tons of complications. And I mean, it was all worth it at the end, you know, because now we have him home and he's super healthy. And if you guys have any questions, I'm sure you will, because like this was super choppy, and I'm sorry, like that was the only way I could have said it, you know. If you guys have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me, and I will be more than happy to answer your questions. And yeah, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Bye.